Hello and welcome to the first edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, governors protest autonomy for local governments, right President Buhari to stop NFIU guidelines on direct allocations to council areas. Kidnappers still running riot in Nigeria as gunmen abduct pastor, 16 others in a church in Zaria. Seized 3 wedding guests in Ondo. CBN says Nigeria saved 288 billion from rice importation. And later on the show, singer Naira Marley reminded in prison as mom burst into tears. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Gani Kaede Balogun, and Emeka Madunagu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. It's baffling that we never agree as a country on a certain course of action to solve our socio-political problems. Recently, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, proposed guidelines to make local government administration more effective by ensuring that the council areas get their allocations directly from the Federation account. But state governors won't hear of it. According to the Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Aishana Okaru, the governor have petitioned the president on this regard, warning the NFIU to stay off allocations meant for local government areas. The speakers of some state houses of assembly are also asking their governors to challenge the NFIU in court for meddling in their affairs. Jide, I laugh in Spanish. when you look at the NFIU report, I don't know the guidelines they were talking about. They wanted to effect it from June. So to break it down to for Nigerians to understand very well, 774 local governments listed in our constitution will be giving their money, percentage of the allocation direct into their accounts, not the joint state local government accounts. We have problems here and there with that. But Jide, if they work out modalities for the LCDAs that Lagos, Ogun, Osun, and some other states that have been running these LCDAs from time, if that is sorted out, do you think this is a lofty idea?
Well, I think that I am someone who wants to see local government autonomy in my time. And I also know that the president has always wanted that. But to make local government autonomy happen, the constitution has to be amended. We've always talked about this constitution that we use currently. It's full of frailties and all kinds of even pitfalls. So this is what governors are exploiting. It's just similar to what happened during the Jonathan era when Okonjo-Iweala and others wanted us to save money. And these governors went to court that, no, we can't save money. What the constitution says is that all revenues accruing to the federation must be shared. Yes, it's there in that first line. No doubt about it. So
white and black.
They went to court. No, you must not share. No, you must not save money.
You must share.
The idea of sovereign wealth fund that enabled countries like Norway to have a kind of bolster against declining oil prices, the cushions against declining oil prices. We didn't have it because we didn't save enough. The former CBN governor, Sanusi, pleaded that we should save money. Governors went to court. No, if it's SS crude account, we must share. That one, we must share. This one, too, we must share. And that is despite the fact that they take from council funds at will. Today, if you are a governor who allows councils access, unfettered access to their money, you will be seen as a hero. And there are very few governors like that.
Nasir El-Rufai.
El-Rufai, the governor of Bayelsa State. In fact, a Senate committee went to Bayelsa and praised Dixon for not tampering with council funds. But you can see these governors who are running from pillar to post now. You will know that without being told that council funds, they use council funds at will. And if you are a council chairman and you raise your hand against tampering with your funds, they will suspend you. They will suspend you and kick you out. These are the same people who are even reluctant to let elections hold in the councils. They will rather use administrators and the rest of them, so that when they put their own people there, they can have access to local government funds. Local governments ought to be able to build roads, inner city roads. That should be the responsibility of local government. But it is governments, it is state governments that are doing all of these things. State governments are not even supposed to pay teacher salaries. But some states now have taken that over because you have starved the councils of funds. Then the responsibility for managing the affairs of those councils, you've taken it upon yourself. So yes, they can point at the Constitution once again the same way they did during Kojo Iweala last time, refusing to allow us to save. The same people will come back and say blame the same government for not saving, whereas they went as far as Supreme Court that they should not save. So this is the situation that we found ourselves. We must do something ultimately about the Constitution so that the council, local government councils, will have their autonomy.
GKB, I understand this is the way it is. Anytime this allocation will just come, that the governors will just, okay, Mr. Chairman, your impress for this month, pay your salary, pay your this, every other thing, we'll just give you, so that most of this local government, they operate.
I learned one council chairman even burst into tears. When they gave us
as in, they'll just give you that small allowance and everything, and we will do everything for you. We'll do the road for you, we'll do everything for you. What is the implication of this NFIU proposal?
Well, like Gide said, we are moving in the right direction. But the irony is the fact that those who are supposed to benefit from this new system are in the forefront of people trying to truncate that very thing. Especially local government chairmen and some funny guys at the ministry. They also in the House of Assembly asking for funny things. Because what this law requires is basically honesty. The money you make goes into your account, and then you can now account for things that Constitution has given you to work with. But you and I know that even tenement rates are now done by the states. Trash, collecting trash, garbage, was probably a job of the local government. It's not taken over by the state. Teacher salary, until we ran into trouble, was taken over by the state. And I know a local government somewhere in the southwest, where the man said he gets 3 million every month. And after 20 salaries, he's left with 25,000. So he stopped going to office. The moment that money is done, he will go away and wait for internal generated from these market women and car parks. And that's how they survive. Things are that bad. And that's why when people say things don't work, we have to look at the way the Constitution was written. It was written in such a manner to ensure that you cannot tamper with the Constitution. There are so many loopholes and potholes that are created along the line to resolving certain issues.
Emeka,
that will not work.
This is another tier of government. And when they are sharing their allocation, 52, 24, 20,
21.
I'll be 21 or whatever, across this thing, it's budgeted for, it's legit. Yes. But we are going to be having, what we've had till now is a situation where they look like appendage to the states.
No, but that's what the Constitution prescribes. That, in fact, we are running a two-tier system of government, federal and state, because the Constitution gives the states power over the local government. As a matter of fact, the state governments in the state houses of assembly are to enact laws for local government administration. And then if you go back to the Supreme Court judgment of 2004, between the federal government and Lagos State,
yes.
If you read what the justices of the Supreme Court said, the underlying fact was that if the federal government has no right, the president has no right to take any action outside the Constitution as regards local government in respect of a said breach by any pair of government. And what was the underlying thing all the justices said? They said if the federal government or the president feels that there is a breach by the states, he said, go to court. The justices all repeated it. They all repeated it that even if Lagos State breached any law, that the federal government the president cannot resort to self-help, go to court. So with this NFIU thing, I'm wondering on what basis, from what angle the federal government wants to approach the matter, because it is very clear, states control the local government. But like Jide said, there must be the requisite constitutional amendment. The amendment of the Constitution must be done. Don't forget, there was also the issue of between Lagos State government and the federal government over land. Lagos State defeated the federal government at the Supreme Court. So these things are there. If you remember again, under Obasanjo, there were some suits that arose between the federal government and states at the Supreme Court over certain financial issues, deductions for foreign loans and all of that. And you found out that the federal government, when they got to a point that they saw they were going to be defeated, they opted for out-of-court settlement.
Okay. Now, Babajide, looking at this now, if what we are dealing with here now, we are dealing with a situation whereby Lagos State has 37 LCDs. Yes. If, let's say, we want to implement this kind of law, although with your explanation, it will need tinkering with the 1999 Constitution. Yeah. What can be done about these LCDs?
No, they would not be recognized as local governments, and they have never been recognized as local governments. It is clear that all the local governments in the country, you have their names in the Constitution. You can't add to them, and you can't subtract.
Which some people are saying is not even right.
Yes, you can't. So what you can do, and what the judges recommended, was that Lagos should seek for an act of parliament to have those local governments validated. Monies coming to Lagos still come in the name of the original 20 local councils.
Till now?
Yes.
Major elections conducted?
They come in the shape of those 20 local, because that is what is recognized by law. Other states too have taken a cue from Lagos and have set up LCDs, even in the southeast. But the Constitution recognizes those councils that are listed in the Constitution. So it is clear that that is the way it's going to remain until we now get the councils validated by the Constitution. And you know that it's a lot easier for the military to create states, for the military to create local governments than for civilians. You could be on it for years. They won't achieve any form of unanimity. Even the issue of local government autonomy has been on for years. But you find governors bribing state assemblies and getting state assemblies to not support the idea. Because what is wrong in local government autonomy? If the Constitution prescribes a sharing pattern that recognizes the 3 tiers of government, why are you reluctant to let the councils have what is allocated to them?
Statutorily.
So you are now sitting on just because the Constitution prescribes for a joint account. On account of that, you are now holding on to the fund. And we've seen council chairmen and governors fight over this matter, that what you are giving to me is not enough. So ultimately, we have to do something about the Constitution. So many things. You heard how Professor, the Biade professor from Moshun, what he was saying about the Constitution. That's someone who has seen it all. We have a problem with this Constitution, and we cannot make real progress unless certain items from the Constitution are either expunged or moderated in a way that allows real progress to happen.
Okay. All right, moving on now. When we leave When you leave your homestead unattended, then reptiles and other unwelcome creatures will make it home. This is becoming a lot regarding the scourge of kidnapping for ransom in many parts of the country. Despite efforts to cage the menace, the kidnappers are still running riots. In the early hours of Sunday, daredevil gunmen stormed an Ekwa church in Zaria and abducted the pastor, his daughter, and 15 other worshippers. Kidnappers also seized 3 other persons traveling to attend a wedding in Ikare, Akoko area of Ondo State. The incidents are becoming too many that we are losing count every day. So before we delve into this kidnap cases across the country, I'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please, don't go away. Welcome back. It's journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental, and we are looking at the state of insecurity across the country. GKB, let me start with you here. Ekwa Church in Zaria. The pastor was abducted, his daughter was abducted, and 15 other worshippers. How bad can this get?
Well, don't forget that people are also going for a wedding reception. We're also picked up at Ikare on the way to a wedding. We are in the middle of a low-steaming war, and we are not really ready to declare a state of emergency on security, maybe for political or for other reasons. There's a need right now, because like we said on this program before, Nigerians have the tendency to copy whatever is trending. It's in our nature. They did the same thing when they were doing militancy in the South-South, when every top Dick and Harry became a militant. Now everybody, in all parts of the country, are now kidnappers, because you and I know
armed robbery is no longer
armed robbery is dangerous, even to the armed robber. Kidnapping requires minimum force. It's basically an emotive crime. Basically, you blackmail the human nature, attachment to their kin. And I told you on this program once that there was even somebody who was kidnapped, and his family was asked to pay 2 recharge cards, 15,000. Things are that bad. And they took the child and they said, okay, send recharge card for 15,000 and you can pick up your child at a particular roadside. And it's the way we behave as a country. Now people have seen that government has collapsed as far as this kidnapping is concerned. So everybody with an axe to grind.
Emeka, is the situation this bad?
It's bad.
As,
I support him. There should be a state of emergency, because we are becoming like Mexico. We are becoming like Mexico, and it is
Colombia.
And Colombia. It's going to really, really damage our image as a nation, because when a country becomes a place where people are easily picked up like loaves of bread, then there is a big problem. There is a big problem. As far as security is concerned, you know, people are talking about these things, but they said, no, they're enemies of the government. They hate President Buhari. They hate the government. But the people who are being picked, are they phantoms? As I was walking to the studio, I just saw an alert about the Secretary General of a school in Allocation Christ School was kidnapped. And the kidnappers are demanding 60 million ransom. Then again, disappearances. There's a young lady who was said to, you know, have boarded a bus at Ikeja and told her family she was a cement. Up till now, they've not seen her. It's over 2 weeks now. They said her phone was tracked up to Badagry and she had disappeared. And the other issue is this, there is also the worrisome aspect of the involvement of security agents.
Yes.
Anti-cultism squad, X-squad, anti-kidnapping squad, all kinds of squads, picking people randomly. And I saw a tweet today where somebody was claiming that a police officer asked the family of somebody who was, you know, accused of cultism to go and bring 500,000 naira for bail. So it's also a worrisome aspect. We are talking about kidnapping, which is a heinous crime. And then again, we're also talking of arbitrary and illegal arrest by security agents. So when people are not found, when families go looking for their relatives, they don't know where to start from. They don't know what could have happened. And in some instances, I mean, you find out that Even on the roads when people are traveling, you have hawkers on the roads, there are informants among them. At motor parks, there are informants at motor parks. Okay. At different places, there are informants. Now, when did this criminal nature, this wicked nature, get into Nigerians? That they see their fellow Nigerians as commodities?
Is the federal government up to this task? Are they not losing grip? What is happening? If we are compared to Mexico, states that are sliding into anarchy, can that fit into our situation right now?
I just hope that it doesn't get worse, because when you, even the comparison with Mexico is scary, because
drug cartels,
they will kidnap you, take ransom, and still take your life. That is common with them, because they want to ensure that they leave no trace. So Nigerians are still being kidnapped. A good number of them regain their freedom after ransom must have been paid. Is terrible. Last week, the IG announced the arrest of 93 kidnappers and the recovery of one rocket launcher, 35 AK-47s, 500 live ammunition, 10 pairs of military uniform, because some of them, people have reported actually sighting soldiers on the road and feeling comfortable, not knowing that they were actually kidnappers dressed in army fatigue. So this is particularly a big problem. Not just, you can see that they've now spread across the country. If you are traveling now to Ondo State, from Osun, from Ilesha, right up to Ekiti, that is F1 the Taure, all those areas. There's virtually no policemen on the road. And that is the area where kidnapping is very rampant now. That stretch is literally not policed. And F1 is probably the biggest town in Ekiti in terms of land mass. That stretch, and to your right, you are looking at the valley. You won't find policemen or soldiers. So we have to keep our highways effectively policed. But even that does not totally solve the problem, because kidnappers now go into people's homes. They go into people's homes to bring people out. In Chikun local government in Kaduna, they break into people's homes and seize them. They are beginning to do that even in Jalingo. They break into people's homes and seize them. Even in Kogi, they break into people's homes. Because a lot of a sizable portion of the highway in Kogi is policed by soldiers. That governor may not be capable of paying salaries regularly. But when it comes to security, you have to give it to him that he has found a way to put soldiers on the roads. So that reduces the number of people that could be kidnapped. We are in serious trouble. Someone said
luxury buses traveling.
Yes, that's what.
Stop them.
There is a place called in River State that is called the Sambisa of River State. That's the Emohua area. They target luxury buses or any bus that's full of passengers, and then they will bring all of them out and lead them into the bush. It's the same thing that is happening in Kaduna. Even the president's-in-law that was picked up till now, we've not heard anything about him. Whether he's been killed or not, we do not know. So we are under siege. It's like a country at war. You remember the way Danjuma spoke that day when he faced Jonathan and said, Mr. President, we are at war. We are at war. That's what we are going through. Somebody should be able to tell the President Buhari, we are at war. The same way Danjuma spoke that day. Because that's basically what we are going through. If you are traveling by road now, you take your anointing oil with you, you'll be praying until you come down from your car.
Apart from the bad roads.
Yes. No, and they exploit those bad roads.
Even when you alight from your car, you are
they can actually track you to your hotel. There is nowhere that is safe. Around Moko, you know, when you are traveling, you feel comfortable when villages are not far apart. Aramoko in Ekiti, there's another town that is so close to it. Between those two towns, they pick people.
What about even Okada in Edo State now has become another
I was told too. Already. Benin or Express Road.
No, it's always, even the Agenebo area. So there were some people from my area who went for a wedding. They went to do what you call Idano in Edo State. On their way back, they were kidnapped. One of them was a lecturer. He eventually died in their hands.
Wow.
Yes. Eventually, you know, you kidnap people, you don't know their health status. Some of them can't take pain. Some of them can't take stress.
Some of them are
They die in your hands.
And they keep moving them from place to place.
Yes, they make them walk sometimes to 5 kilometers, you know, just so that they won't be it will be difficult to track them. And there's this big problem that we have that we must find a way to solve. The incidence of pre-registered SIMs. Because if someone commits a crime with a registered phone line, you will be able to track him.
Track the person.
But people now buy pre-registered.
They are still on sale.
We punished MTN, but all the telcos are guilty.
They are still on sale.
They are guilty. So if people can buy pre-registered SIM, they are using someone else's name, fake name, so they can commit crime at will with it.
And then how the payment of ransoms, how do these ransoms get? Because there are stories that even security agents deliver some of these ransoms.
No, the thing is a policeman and his colleague was arrested for being part of a kidnap gang.
So you have rogue elements.
It's at the point of the collecting money that they discovered that this person was actually a policeman. So it's possible that amongst our irresponsible security agents, there are people who are involved.
Rogue elements.
Shebi, a soldier was arrested with Evans at that time.
Yeah.
So there's hardly any crime that is rampant in Nigeria that you don't find security people involved in. A former SARS man joined them in killing people in Ofa. You know, and there are so many of them like that we discharge from the military. We don't even know where they end up. A lot of them will end up as criminals, as Boko Haram. People are suggesting now that even Boko Haram has sent people out to the southwest and other places. Yeah. They'll be using this kidnap to make money to fund their activities.
Operations.
No wonder both factions are now very active. What is happening? Where did they get the arms from? Well, there's a lot of, where did they get the money from?
And the other danger is that people will now resort to self-help. Because I've seen calls now by various groups stalking, you know, asking people to start buying weapons to defend themselves.
What if government cannot defend the people? What will they not do?
Where are we heading to as a country? If people now begin to buy weapons,
what OPC did in 1999, what the OPC did in 1999, it will happen.
Yes.
Especially now that even the OPC is trying to get governors to see the need to protect, especially the Southwest. Because it's like an invasion. Yes. All our forests are bursting at the seams with kidnappers, a lot of them foreigners. Yes. And they are telling these governors, let's come together, let's find a way to secure our people. No, and these governors are showing no interest.
They are not interested.
I think Gani Adams has been speaking over this over and over again.
The first assignment of the Nigerian Financial was to call for a summit, security summit by the governors. It was ignored. So we thought maybe because of political reasons, elections are coming. A lot of people don't want to rub the president on the wrong side. But now elections are over. We've called for another meeting. They're not interested. And yet these are the same people that will call names when things go hurry. We've called meetings of traditional rulers that you are the closest to the people. Let's get together and phantom a strategy. They're not interested because they're afraid of the governors. Most of them don't want to get involved in things that the governors will take offense to. And that's how problems go to start. Because people tend to forget that, like the boss said, always be prepared. If you are not prepared, there's a Yoruba proverb that says that a war foretold cannot harm a cripple. It's a cripple that knows that he has to move quickly. Because a cripple that listening to governors in the Southwest, giving them assurances when obvious elements are shown that things are contrary, that cripple will go with that war.
Especially in Kaduna, we need more military formations. Look at the southern part of Kaduna, that area is begging for military formations. At least to protect the people against kidnapping and other crimes. And of course, too, we need more motorized patrols by the police.
We need
and
more helicopters.
I also saw a tweet. Somebody was saying that the uncontrolled influx of people into Nigeria through the northern borders should be checked. He was actually, he was at the northern border.
these people are
He was complaining about it, that the way people come into Nigeria.
More than
just
4,000 illegal entry points.
Why?
In the country.
Why should
We don't stop them.
Why should we run
just
our
allow
country
people
this
to
way?
come
We
into-
need to do something about it because we're a big country and we're a center of attraction. So we must protect our territory.
Well, the reason is very obvious. We tend to look away when these people look like us or talk like us. That's what led to Boko Haram exploding. That's what led to what is happening.
We
now.
were even reluctant
to
attack them. We were reluctant. We were
Because they
saying,
look
no,
like,
leave them alone.
people from a
Leave them.
particular part of the country.
Gentlemen, we have to move on. There has been so much talk about rice production and importation in Nigeria, yet something keeps showing us that it's not yet Uhuru. Figures have shown that there has been a decline in the importation of rice in the country, but achieving self-sufficiency in local production and processing remains problematic. For now, we can reveal in the fact that the country has saved more than 288 billion naira of import bill. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, the amount is 12 billion naira short of 300 billion naira target set by the government. It is still a long walk then. Babajide, we've been talking about this rice importation for some time, and we know in our last episode, we tried to tell the federal government what is behind it and this talk about this self-sufficiency and everything. But Godwin Emefiele is now telling us from their own figures that from 300 billion naira, 288 is not looking bad. Something has been blocked. It might not be that significant, but something has been done.
Oh, he's right. And I said it the first time we looked at this topic. I said we have saved so much foreign exchange and that in the past we would have spent on importing rice. We were the world's biggest importer of rice until this administration came into being. And President Buhari made it clear that whatever we can produce, that is not going to spend hard-hand foreign exchange bringing it into the country. That was why the CBN came up with those items, prohibited items and all that. So the kind of money that we used to spend importing rice, we stopped spending. And government banned the importation of rice through the land borders. All these were meant to stimulate rice production in our country, increase the number of integrated rice farms and all that. It's with the Anchor Borers program positively affecting more than 1 million farmers. Yes, rice production has gone up. There's no debate about that. But rice importation, rice smuggling has also gone down to the point that even rice producers are now in trouble.
Gone up.
Rice producers are in trouble now. A lot of them can't pay their bills. A lot of them are folding up now because of the unrestrained smuggling of rice into our country. Whether through Diroko here or through the far north, Katsina and other places. You know, there are many custom outposts in Katsina because Katsina has extensive borders with Niger Republic. But people continue to bring rice into the country through all those access points, and we're unable to stop this.
You said this last time that it's cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper. The imported is a lot cheaper than our own
local rice.
Yes, and it will take a while before people will believe that our own locally produced rice is better. We have not achieved self-sufficiency in rice production. if you go to Daliko, the biggest markets in Lagos, the preponderance of rice bags that you find are the imported ones. How do they come in? Even so-called rice companies owned by Asians, they go as far as Benin Republic to illegally bring rice into the country and then rebag. That is the thing, because a friend of mine said he called his people who are working for a foreign rice farm here in Nigeria. And now said, what happened now? I saw about 10 lorries of rice in your premises. What's going on? And the guy now said, no, it's not as if we achieved a jump in production, no, that we are actually working all through the night rebagging. So foreign rice comes into our country, we rebag.
And became Nigerian rice.
Then, you see, when it becomes Nigerian rice, it becomes costlier. And we deceive ourselves that we are feeding our people. How come, I've asked this question and no one has answered me. How come Benin Republic, a country of 11 million people, has now become the #1 importer of rice in the world? By statistics from Thailand.
Who is consuming it?
Thailand is the second highest exporter of rice. And, I mean, Thailand is the second highest producer of rice. And the bulk of the rice, their rice,
is not
going to a small country. So that should tell you that from there, they are just bringing it into our country.
It's called surrogate marketing. That means you allow somebody else to buy on your behalf and pretend you are fine. Well, we are not a serious country, and we've always known that. When they made this law, I said the number of tons required by Nigerians is in 5 of what the Agric Minister was touting at that time to be the solution. So we know smuggling will continue. But what we did not expect is the fact that, again, government has not shown the will to really tackle this border problem. Not only for security, even for food security. All over the world, people protect producers by ensuring there are tariffs that are done in such a way to protect local producers. It's only in Nigeria that government officials will walk by smuggled rice and to be the thing on their table for official dinner. That shows the level of complicity that's going on in our country. We cannot get far unless and until we decide we are going to become a serious country for food production.
Omega?
Yeah, well, I want to commend President Muhammad Buhari for really taking this, the production of local rice, very seriously. But beyond the steps he has taken, you have the cultural thing, like I said on another edition of this program. The cultural thing about consuming imported rice. Even though the customs Controller General has said that imported rice is poisonous, but who will listen to him? They're going to ask him, the locally made rice, how safe is it for the rice produced in Nigeria? How safe is it for Nigerians? How safe is it for consumption? So, and it's the same seized rice.
Because they don't know.
It's the same rice you say is poisonous.
The foreign rice.
The same rice you say is poisonous that you are taking to IDP camps. So what are you doing? What are you telling Nigerians? If you take the rice and if you burn the bags of rice, if you burn the rice, fine. You are telling Nigerians that we believe this is poisonous. We don't want you to consume it. But if you now transport it to people to consume, then of course you are making a mockery of your own warning. So, but I think it's not just about the central bank running the anchor borrower scheme. It's good, but we must face the reality. Rice is a staple in Nigeria. So we must take serious steps. The National Orientation Agency is virtually dead. Otherwise, so it's the media that can also be used to fight this war, to get Nigerians to change, because this thing is really entrenched. I mean, from the 70s, you can imagine from 70s, the 80s, the 90s.
It was a blowout, actually. There was a time, most of us were growing up, you eat rice only on Sundays.
Yes.
Or Christmas.
Yes.
But rice now, rice is something
So it was a blowout in recent years. It's part of the consumption mentality we developed during the Second Republic, where we start importing everything.
Yes.
Up to toothpick.
And IBB tried its best to even to stop the importation of rice.
Those things,
They
yeah.
criminalize it, you know, but Nigerians still talk to...
There are streets in London that are dedicated to Nigerian traders. And they too will suffer when Nigerians are suffering. Things are that bad. The only thing that we consume that is local is air that we breathe. Left to Nigeria, we import everything.
All right.
Maybe that's his way.
We have everything.
When we return, singer Naira Marley reminded in prison as mom burst into tears. Stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Most times, all that is required to check wanton vices, particularly among young people, is a dose of scapegoatism. That dangerous romance between many youngsters and fraudsters in our country has reached an alarming level where sometimes something drastic must be done. It seems we're on the path following the arrest and arraignment of hip-hop artist Aziz Fashola, popularly known as Naira Marley, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, after the anti-graft agency preferred an 11-count charge of credit card fraud against Naira Marley on Tuesday. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos and presided over by Justice Nicholas Oweibo ordered his remand in prison custody. He faced a prison term of about 7 years or a fine not more than 5 million naira if convicted. His helpless mother couldn't help but burst into tears as her son was being handed over to prison staff. Babajide, the level of moral decadence when it comes to artists, hip-hop artists in Nigeria and the so-called Yahoo boys, is as if the synergy is at all-time high now.
Yes, and I've seen some of the musicians condemning Rugged Man for actually drawing out Naira Marley before his eventual arrest. Now, he was just correcting him as an elderly artist. It wasn't that he set EFCC against him. The EFCC chose their time to go and pick up this guy. And you can't be singing that your friends are Yahoo boys. You can't be condemning an artist who felt ashamed by the lyrics that you are coming up with. That's a simi. And then you start saying that, Yahoo, if you went through slavery, you will know that there's nothing wrong about Yahoo. You can't be singing such songs.
Mentality.
Yes. They sing all kinds of irresponsible songs, and nobody seems to care. We must reach, I don't imagine an Egyptian artist, for example, singing the kind of lurid songs that these boys are singing. Can you imagine someone singing Patani Logo Benz? Logo Benz. What's the meaning of that? If I don't make money, I go do blood money, and he's still walking the streets.
On the streets.
Nobody has picked him up to lock him up so that he can learn a lesson. That's not, it's plain lyrical emptiness, nothing more. It's not music. When a musician comes out to say, what's the meaning of that?
Kinshati lowo.
Kinshati lowo. O le lo bo ọmọ jẹ́ Kinshati lowo.
Imagine.
Àwọn tèmi ń ṣáṣẹ́, wọ́n ṣáṣẹ́ lóru mọ́jú, àwọn tèmi ń ṣáṣẹ́, wọn ò fojú kan run. Everyone knows that it's in the night that they do their Yahoo thing. You see, just as Rugged Man said, you can't be promoting what everyone is condemning, and then you don't expect them to come for you. Now, when they came for you, they found incriminating items on the laptop. On the laptop that Naira Marley had, there were incriminating stuff on it. Only for his representatives to tell us that, he actually borrowed the credit card. That he borrowed the laptop. So the laptop does not belong to him.
Who owns it?
You go to court, go and say that. In fact, crimes like this, they should not be even stipulating any form of fine.
So honestly,
They should be
without the option of
punish the
just put them behind bars.
punish people. Yes, because the 5 million, they say not more than 5 million.
Get away with it.
7 years.
It didn't change.
This boy will eventually come out and sing about his time with the EFCC.
I mentioned those who are against it.
But I think he sends a message, a clear message that, look, you can't say that your friends are Yahoo boys. He was boasting that he does not even know SARS. Who are the SARS people that they can't catch him? Now they're going to catch you.
GKB.
Actually, the decadence you spoke about goes beyond music. For those of us who know the history of Nollywood, we know the ties between the 419 people and the rise of Hollywood in Nigeria. And the same thing Jide is saying happened when you glorify blood money, when you glorify rights, when people go ahead and do stuff to make money, and the entire story that is basically about killing people to make money. Then the decadence has reached the level now that we can no longer stop it. Because unlike movies, where you can control the viewership, music is everywhere. And they play it for small children in primary schools, in nursery schools. I have a 6-year-old who knows all these lyrics. And you wonder, to you it's meaninless. To why it's meaninless, but to you the danger there is that one day we'll use the same slang in front of somebody that will put you, yourself as a parent, in bad light.
No problem.
So,
no problem.
So you want to
Really, problem.
like Emeka said, there is no control about all over the world. There's something called artistic integrity, where your job mainly, when you are telling a story or singing a song, is to ensure that you glorify things that are good about your country. If I know places in the world where the police will vet your scripts to ensure that at the end of the day, the bad man must be caught. There are countries I know that their job is that no matter the story you are telling, at the end of the movie, the bad man must be caught.
Yes.
That's the lesson they want to pass out. No matter what you do, enjoy the film. But at the end of the film, the bad man must go to jail or die. The same thing must apply.
Rubbish songs.
Beyond just all this, my worry is that on social media, you don't have strong voices condemning these things. You have rugged man, Simi. But there are influential Nigerians in this country that are keeping quiet. I don't know whether they enjoy these lyrics.
Even their own colleagues
they are
are
silent. Their children enjoy these lyrics. Their drivers, their staff enjoy these lyrics, and they don't know it is poison that is being injected. Even religious leaders are keeping quiet.
Yeah, germinate seed.
They should speak very strongly. Religious leaders must condemn these things. You have a National Parent Teachers Association of Nigeria. What is it doing about it? Academic Staff Union of University should not just be about strike. They should also talk about things that damage the moral fiber. You should, across the society, people should condemn these things. Because it's as if what that guy sang that, I don't know, SARS, nobody can arrest me. And of course, these people get away with these things. What are you injecting into the younger generation?
It is poison. Generation of
it is poison.
Jide, on the final note, if the emphasis on money, that's one of our greatest problems. Yes. No moral standard, nothing. No. You see people singing, if you don't get money, hide your face in shame. What's the meaning of that?
It's money and sex. They can't sing about any other thing except money and sex.
And drugs.
And drugs. They also promote drugs. Look at the one who said a money problem. If you are on Instagram, money could be wale. As a bomb lower sha, you know, it's either sex that they are thinking about, or drugs, or Yahoo. So, and if people like Simi and the rugged man even come out to condemn
at
it,
the point in time, earlier,
I'm disappointed that people like Tiblis, the former husband of Tiwasa, will be condemning rugged man, because rugged man corrected this little boy who is singing this kind of trash. I mean, you can't be condemned. You can't be promoting Yahooism. You can't. So this should send a clear message. The EFCC, we must commend them for what they are doing. Remember the other day now, some of those boys hid inside their couches at home. And they remove those couches and arrest them.
Ibadan.
They even send dogs at...
Yes, now. They should shoot their dogs. So let's encourage them. Any one of these boys who sings to glorify crime, to glorify Yahoo, or quick money, they should go after them. And because they are a threat to the society, honestly, they should go after them. If you sing to promote drug abuse, sing to glorify tramadol, sing to glorify codeine and all that, you are liable. They should go and arrest you. Because that's not what we want our children to do.
Because whether we know it or not, somebody will start singing about suicide.
Yes, no.
I know interesting. The e-commerce globally is worth $22.1 trillion. Nigeria is shut out of a lot of sites, out of a lot of platforms where people can make money because of
the
things like
activities of these Yahoo boys.
Because of things like this. There are so many. You can talk about eBay, you can talk about Craigslist.
Once they see that you are coming from Nigeria.
So you even have to, to even participate in e-commerce, you even have to register using other countries. What is going on? We are destroying this country.
What does Naira Marley know about slavery? Is he a historian? Who has told him the story of slavery? He's telling Simi that if Simi knows about slavery, he will know that Yahoo is not a crime. You say Yahoo is not a crime. Now your mother is crying that they've arrested you. They will arrest you again.
I want to thank you so much, Emeka Madunago. Thank you for this edition. And Alaji Osioba Kayode Balogun. Thank you, GKV, for coming. And the master himself, Babajide Kolade Ostoju.
Thank you, Jare.
All right, and that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platform showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now and see you tomorrow.